So, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, classmates. So, let us continue the report on chapter 2. For now, I'll be discussing to you the type of graphs, histogram, frequency polygon, and relative frequency graph. So, these three graphs are commonly used in research. So, let's start with a histogram. So, what is histogram? So, histogram is defined as a graph that displays the data by using vertical bars of various heights to represent the frequency. So from the meaning itself, so ang histogram daw is makaka-display niya using the vertical bars to represent the frequencies. So for us to know deeper what is the figure kasi dagway gyud ang histogram. So let us examine and understand this example. Okay. Suppose that pretend that you are in a restaurant. So, nag-gather ka dito or nag-interview ka dito kung pila edad sa mga customer in that certain restaurant. And you come up and you gather the ages, the following 1, 3, 27, 32, 5, 63, 26, 25, 18, 16, 4, 45, 19, 22, 51, 58, 9, 42, and 46. So to come up the histogram, so you have to group like this example, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and they are called a interval. So now frequency. The frequency is kung pila ka buok ang like for example 0 to 9, pilay nag-edad og 0 to 9. So the frequency here 0 to 9 is 6. So we can see here 1, 3, 5, 4 and 9 and 6. So there are 6. 10 to 19. So there are 3. So we have here 18, 16 and 19. 5. The persons mga individuals or customers na their age belongs to 20 to 29. So there are 5. 20 to 29, we can see here 27, 26, 25, 29, 22. So there are 5. 30 to 31, there are only 1. 30 to 39 is only 1. Then 40 to 49, there are 2. 40 to 49, there are 2. We have here 45 and 42. 50 to 59, 2 also. So there are 2. 50 to 59, like 51 and 58. And 60 to 69, so only 1, 63. Okay, so to formulate a histogram, so you have to level the vertical line as the frequency and the horizontal line as the bucket age or the interval. So since you have that table 0 to 9, so 0 to 9 frequency is 6, so you have to level the 0 to 9 to 6, 10 to 19, I'm so sorry, 10 to 19 is 3, 20 to 29 5, 30 to 39 1, 40 to 49 2, 50 to 59 2, and 60 to 69 is 1. So that's all for the histogram. It's easy to identify or to create a histogram as long as you have the interval and you know the frequency. Next, frequency polygon. So a frequency polygon is a graph that displays data by using the lines that connects points plotted by the frequencies at the midpoints of the classes. The frequencies represents the heights of the midpoints. So this, if we talk about frequency polygon, so this is the lines that connect points. So points connecting by using a lines. However, the histogram, it is the vertical graphs. Okay, so example here we have the class limits or the ages: 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. And you have the frequency, or we can also label frequency labeled as the hours TV per week. But in a frequency polygon, we have to get the midpoint. So in order to get the midpoint, it's simply you have to add the lower limit and the upper limit and divide it by 2. So I'm so sorry, my PPT presentation. So 11 here is the lower limit, and the 20 is the upper limit. So 11 plus 20 is equals to 31, and divided by 2, that's why we come up with 15.5. So again, you have to add the lower limit and the upper limit and divide it by 2, so you will get the midpoint. 21 plus 30 is equals to 51 divided by 2, resulted to 25.5. 31 plus 40 is equals to 71 divided by 2, so 35.5. 41 plus 50 equals to 91, and divided by 2 is 45.5. So how to formulate a frequency polygon? So to plot the frequency polygon, the midpoint here is your x and the frequency is your y. But what we need to do in frequency polygon is to see in your screen that 55.5, 25.5, 35.5, 45.5, 45.5, the difference is 10. So if we coming back the 55.5, so what will be the value? So of course, 15.5 minus 10 is equals to 5.5, and also 45.5 plus 10 is equals to 55.5. So 55.5 ages, or the midpoint, 15.5, 25.5, 35.5, 45.5, and 55.5. So 55.5 with a frequency of 15.5, 13. 25.5 is 7, and 35.5 is 15. 45.5 is 15, and 45.5 is 14 rather. So that is the frequency polygon. All you have to do is to compute the midpoint. The midpoint, the formula is you have to add the lower class limit plus the upper class limit divided by 2. And then after getting the midpoint, then you can connect midpoint and the frequency. Your midpoint will be your x axis and the frequency will be your y axis. So let's continue. So the cumulative frequency graph, or ogive, is a graph that represents the cumulative frequency for the classes in a frequency distribution. So how to make an ogive? Make a frequency table showing the class boundaries and cumulative boundaries. So what is class boundaries and what is cumulative frequencies? Let us know that later. So for each class, make a dot over the upper class boundary at the height of the cumulative class frequency. The coordinates of the dots are the upper class boundary, cumulative frequency. Connect these dots with the line segments. By convention, an ogive begins on the horizontal axis at the lower class boundary of the first class. So we have here the example. So given here is the intervals and the frequency, and we have to calculate or get the class boundaries and the cumulative frequency as being the class boundaries and cumulative frequency that we need to find, or we need to solve in order to form to get an ogive. So how to get the class boundaries? all you have to do is you have to subtract the lower limit by 0.5 and add the upper class limit by 0.5. So we can see here 11. So 11 minus 0.5 will be 10.5, and 20 plus 0.5 will be 20.5. So your class boundaries here is for the interval of 11 to 20 is 10.5 to 20.5. So the 21 to 30 intervals, so 21 minus 0.5 will be 20.5, and 30 plus 0.5 will be 30.5. 31 to 40, so 30.5, 40.5. So 41 to 50, so you will have 40.5 and 50.5. 51 to 60 interval, so you have the class boundary of 50.5 to 60.5. So now, how to calculate or to get the cumulative frequency? So all you have to do in cumulative frequency is to add the previous frequency. So we have here 23. So since there is no previous, wala naman siya nakita na itong value, no previous value. So we can copy 23 as the cumulative frequency, also 23. So in another frequency, 43, so you have to add the previous one. So 43 plus 23 is equals to 66. Next is the 51. 51 added by or plus by the previous frequencies that you have in your screen, the 43 and 23. So you will have 117. So you have to add 51 plus 43 plus 23. Next is 27. So 27 plus or added by the previous frequencies, all previous frequencies, 51, 43, and 23. So you have 144. Last is 7. Added or plus by the all previous frequencies, you have 27, 51, 43, and 23. So resulted to 151. So that's it, how to compute the cumulative frequency. So how to plot the ogive? So So we have to go back the procedure or the steps on how to graph an ogive. So we have here that for each class, make a dot over the upper class boundary at the height of the cumulative frequency. The coordinates of the dots are the upper class and the cumulative frequency. So the upper class and the cumulative frequency. So we can see here our upper class boundaries are 20.5, 30.5, 50.5, and 60.5. So this is our upper class boundaries, and our lower class boundaries starting 10.5, 20.5, 30.5, 40.5, and 50.5. So this will be our x-axis. The upper class boundaries are x-axis. The 20.5, 30.5, 40.5, 50.5, and 60.5. And our cumulative frequency, we can see here that we start with 23. So we can start at 20s and end up by 160, since our last cumulative frequency is 151. Another thing that we have to remember to plot an ogive. By convention, an ogive begins on the horizontal axis at the lower class boundary of the first class. So in our example, our first class here is 10.5 to 20.5. So the question is which among these two is our lower class limit? So obviously our lower class limits is the 10.5. So that's why we start our x-axis at 10.5, since it is said that we will start at the lower class limit. So our lower class limit here, our lower class boundaries rather, is 10.5. So 10.5, 10.5, 20.5, 30.5, 40.5, and 50.5. So 20.5, our cumulative frequency is 23. Then 30.5, our cumulative frequency is 66. 40.5, our cumulative frequency is 117. And 60.5, 50.5, we have here 144. Next, relative frequency graph. So relative frequency graph, a graph that's showing a category compared to the total using percent, circle, or pie graph. Relative frequency graph are typically dealing with percentage. So we have here an example of relative frequency graph. So given here is a grade on test frequency. So grade in test, we have A, B, C, D, and F. And the frequency is R rather. So 4, 8, 5, 2, and 1. So we have 20 in total. But on grade on test, there are only 4 persons that got A, and 8 students B, and 5 students belongs to C, and 2 students for D, and 1 for F. So how to calculate a relative frequency? So just simply frequency divided by total. Frequency divided by total example is 4 divided by 20. 4 divided by 20 is equals to 0.2. And follows by 8 divided by 20, we have 0.4. 5 divided by 20, we have 0.25. 2 divided by 20, we have 0.1. And 1 divided by 20 is 0.05. So we will turn this into a percent. So all you have to do is to multiply by 100. 0.2 times 100 is equals to 20%. 0.4 times 100 equals to 40%. 0.25 times 100 is 25%. 0.1 times 100 is 10%. And 0.05 times 100 is equals to 5%. So to give us the relative frequency, the fraction, decimals, and the percent. So when we do a circle graph is we need to take the decimals times 360 degree. Since a circle is having a 360 degrees. So like for example, 360 multiplied by 0.2. So you have 72 degree. 360 times 0.4 is equals to 144 degrees. And 360 times 0.25, you will get 90 degrees. 360 degrees times 0.1 will be 36 degree. And 360 degrees times 0.05 is equals to 18 degrees. So since you have the data fulfilled or na kompleto na ang data, so let us graph this. So let's make a two different relative frequency graph since the table is already filled out. So we have the bar graph and the one is the circle graph. So the bar graph here is you have to label the y-axis will be your relative frequency, of course, and your x-axis will be your grades. So there in our example we have A, B, C, D, F, our grades, and relative frequency we can see here 20%, 40%, 25%, 10%, and 5%. So A for 20%, B for 40%, C for 25%, D for 10%, and F 5%. So this is the bar graph. So let's proceed to the other graph, the pie or the circle graph, pie chart. So A, you have 40%. B here is 25%. C is sorry, B is 40%, B is 40%, C is 25%, D is 10%, and F is 5%. So how to come up this pie chart? So to pie chart, we will use this degrees of circle. So you will use 72%, 72 degree rather, 144 degree, 90 degree, 36 degree, and 18 degree to each corresponding grade on test A, B, C, D, F by using a protractor. But I'm not showing you anymore here how to locate in a circle para sa to each by percent. So as long as I have the presentation how to make a circle or pie chart. I think that's all, and good afternoon.